24 hours ago, we needed a telescope to find anybody who truly believed. So I ask you right now at 2:01 on this disgusting Tuesday in New York City, do you believe? Because the New York Knicks are 25% of the way to the Eastern Conference Finals with an absolutely stunning comeback against the Boston Celtics last night. Tiki, do you believe?
I mean, I believe that the Boston Celtics were irrational and stupid and terrible with how they went about holding on or trying to hold on to a 20-point lead. How about let's just jack up some three-pointers? That's a way to hold on to a big lead. And if we miss it, we don't really respect the Knicks. And ultimately, that's what it came down to. That's what I felt like watching this game. You remember 2 years ago at the beginning of the Jets season when Aaron Rodgers tore his Achilles?
Thank you for bringing that up.
You're very welcome, Evan. I just got to make it something local, something that you remember. And the Buffalo Bills, now facing Zach Wilson, we're just like, we can get away with whatever we want. Josh Allen throwing bombs down the middle of the field with the center safety closed, interception. Holy crap. The Jets beat the Bills on opening day? How the hell did that happen? It's because the Bills did not respect the Jets. The Boston Celtics did not respect the Knicks. Now, we said last week, the Knicks will fight. Like, you go into a back alley, they're going to fight you, right? You knock them down, they're going to get back up, they're going to keep fighting you. They might not always win, and it might get really ugly, but the reason that they won this game is because the Boston Celtics didn't respect them. They kept jacking up shots, thinking, it doesn't matter if we make the next 2 or 3 buckets. We'll be all right. And the Knicks, to their credit, fought their way back. It's their MO. It's like it's a one thing identity-wise that never leaves them. Even if they end up losing or they're bad or whatever it is, they keep fighting. And I don't think the Celtics respected that enough.
I'm glad you said that. I am, because as the head of the coalition of Knick haters, I know the way Knick haters think because I am one. And because of that, I can tell you that if you want to say today, whether it's calling up this radio show at 888-808-1019 and agree with Tiki and say, Celtics didn't respect the Knicks, they'll be ready for game 2, that's fine. If you want to say, hey, the Celtics set an NBA record for most missed threes in a game, that won't happen again. They're not shooting 25% from 3 again. You have every right to say all of that. And you may be right. But here's what matters right now at 2:04 in the afternoon. Here's what matters to the Knick fan, and this is where I can be an IBO. What matters is that none of that matters.
Right.
What matters is that today, and this is a little math, let's play math, the Knicks are 3 wins away from beating the Boston Celtics, and yesterday they were 4 wins away.
Right.
Today they need to win 3 of 6 to advance. Yesterday, they need to win 4 of 7. Every game is a different story. Every game is a new television series. Every game is a new movie. Every game is a new novel. What happened in game 1 doesn't mean a rat's patoot about game 2.
And by the way, nor should they apologize.
Nor should anyone apologize.
Right.
So you're right. When we start to look ahead to game 2 and game 3, we're not there yet. Let's enjoy the victory if you're a Knicks fan. You're right about all the things that may be different in game 2. Positively for Boston, positively for the Knicks. Negative for Boston, negative for the Knicks. But the truth of the matter is this. They won. And they won a game, let's face it, they won a game in which nobody in their right mind thought they were going to come back and win. Tommy played the clip at the beginning of this show that I predicted the Knicks would win game 1. Sure, I'll take my bow. I did say the Knicks would win game 1.
Right.
I also said they'd lose the next 4. We'll see if I'm right about that. But I'll tell you this. When I sat there in my bedroom last night, and the Knicks were down by 20 with 5 minutes and 47 seconds to go, I ain't going to lie to you, Teak. I'm certainly not going to lie to the audience. I thought you guys were dead. And I'm not alone. You thought they were dead.
Yep.
The Celtics probably thought they were dead. Everybody thought they were dead. I heard G say this morning, I was thinking about shutting the game off. Like, I get that. That's what we all thought. And a credit to this basketball team. And sure, the Celtics brought it upon themselves. Whatever. We ain't on the Sports Hub or WEEI. We're WFAN. We don't give a rat's ass what they're saying. They could say whatever they want. They could still be bemoaning Tristan Casas' injury, for all I care. For us, it doesn't matter what the Celtics did wrong. It's that the Knicks somehow down 20 with 5 2:47 to go, came back, and they came back, and I'm not going in any particular order, but let's name why they came back. Let's start with OG Anunoby.
Yep.
You like to call these guys dogs, Tommy? Your lead dog is OG Anunoby.
Just make the open three, bro. That's all you got to do.
God. And he defends his rear end off. Jalen Brunson in the fourth quarter of this game, sure, he missed the game winner. Sure, he had a turnover. He carried them offensively. And then, yes, he probably earned another draft pick last night. Mikal Bridges defended. Forget about what his scoring line tells you, that we did bank in that 3 in overtime, which was crazy. He defended at such an insane level. And somehow, some way, this basketball team, who most of you guys gave up on, who most of you guys said they're not as tough as they were last year, they proved you wrong for one night because they came back against a team that has not trailed in a postseason series since 2023.
Yeah, they haven't. And you give credit to the Knicks because easily it would have been, let's just regroup. Think of what you just ran through.
Yeah.
How many three-point attempts were just taken?
5,609.
I'm just telling you, the last, 2 minutes of that conversation that you were just having with the audience. No, every shot was a three-pointer.
Yeah.
Every shot.
That's the game, man.
I mean, it's a stupid part of the game. Go score a bucket, especially when you have some defensive mismatches, which at times they did, especially when Jalen Brunson was the primary defender. But, that's part of the game. And again, for the Knicks, the Knick fan in me, I appreciated it. I was like, dude, keep jacking. I know you're not making them tonight. Keep shooting them. But from the basketball IBO perspective, it's like you are so stupid, right? The things that you're doing are ridiculous, and it's going to cost you this game because all you need to do is go get a defensive mismatch or offensive mismatch, in this case for the Celtics, and go get a bucket. Right, stem the tide.
But think about it.
Because all they wanted to do was shoot 3-pointers.
But think about it this way. And so yesterday, late in the program, 5 o'clock hour, we started breaking down this series. And one of the things I brought up to Sean and Tommy is that there's a math equation. Yeah. Because the Celtics chuck more threes than any other team in the league.
It's how they got here.
It's how they got here. In fact, during the regular season, they averaged an all-time NBA record, which was 48.2 three-point field goal attempts per game.
And 60 yesterday?
So they blew that away. Now, in the first-round series against the Magic, a lot of that was Orlando's strategy. The Celtics attempted far fewer threes. Mm-hmm. But think about it this way last night, because I get the heat that the Celtics are getting, a lot of the criticism the Celtics are getting. They chucked up 60 shots, just drive to the basket, get to the line. If they make 2 more threes last night, so instead of going 15 for 60, they go in also terrible 17 for 60, they win.
Yeah, but
it's a math equation. If they make 2 more threes, they freaking win.
But that's the whole if and buts and candy and nuts
I
thing.
understand.
They didn't, right?
I get it. And instead, Mikal Bridges is making a corner 3 that he banks in.
I know, which is impossible.
The New York Knicks last night, I don't know, man. The New York Knicks last night may not have changed things for some Celtic fans, but for the Knick fan out there that all year long has said, we can't beat good teams because of games that didn't even matter in November and December and January and February.
Well, they were kind of getting the floor wiped with their uniforms.
And did it matter last night?
No, of course it
And that
did.
was what I was screaming at you guys for months.
Yeah,
not that the Knicks are going to win this series, which I still don't think they are, but it doesn't matter,
in real
bro.
time, when you get dragged like the Knicks were getting dragged by the top teams in the East and in the West, you can't help but say, all right, well, we're just second tier.
Did it matter?
Of course it doesn't
Did it matter last night?
But in real time, it mattered.
Okay, well,
It did not matter last night. You are correct.
That's all I was saying.
But part of that is because the Boston Celtics were so bad.
Yeah, but don't see, keep going back to that.
But it's true.
Okay, that's not the Knicks' problem.
Of course it's not the
Knicks'
Knicks'
their problem.
It's absolutely.
And by the way, the Celtics not being efficient last night is also a reminder that the game we go nuts about in the middle of February didn't mean anything then, and it doesn't mean anything now.
Right. They also did not have Kristaps Porzingis for a lot of this game because of, what was it, illness?
Illness, which he's suffered from a little bit throughout this season. It's kind of mysterious, so who knows when he's going to come back. And Sam Hauser got banged up, but guess what I say to that? Too bad.
That's your fault. That's not our problem.
And
I agree with you.
And to prove my IBO-ness on the subject, when the Knicks were dealing with injuries last year, I said the same thing to you guys. It's too bad. It's part of the NBA. So if the Celtics are going to deal with that, and we'll see how serious the Hauser situation is with the ankle, and Porzingis is not feeling well or whatever the heck it is, that is not a Knick problem. That's a Celtic problem. Same thing with the Celtics missing a record amount of threes. That's a Celtic problem.
Right.
But what the Knicks showed you last night to all the non-believers out there is maybe this assumption that their chemistry is terrible, Tommy, that, hey, they're not as tough as they were last year.
Depends on which day of the week for Tommy regarding chemistry.
That is true. I miss Dante DiVincenzo. Maybe on this Tuesday you can say, well, wait a second. Maybe I don't miss last year's team. Maybe I should have given this team a little bit more credit.
Maybe you misplaced the tweet that I had in July where I said they'd have the greatest chemistry in the history of sports. I guess you missed that one.
I did.
So you picked today.
You just walked it back a couple times. It's all good.
You've gone back and forth a few times.
He's cherry-picked, Tiki. Yeah, that might have been March.
Right.
No, actually, that was last week, Tommy. And I told you there are some nights where they look like they have the greatest chemistry in the history of sports, and there's other nights where they don't have it. Well, last night they did. They got a complete team effort. Even Cat, who didn't have the greatest of games, made some plays where you could look to and say, yeah, he helped them win. But to me, it comes down to one guy. Mikal Bridges had one of the greatest performances in the history of the Knicks in the playoffs. 51 minutes, got after it defensively, a key shot in overtime. The game winner, when you think about it defensively, clinched the game. Put some respect on his name. This is why he was brought here. Thank you, Evan. We appreciate that.
Well, when I send them to you?
Yeah. He made up for every pick last night, so we could put that one to bed.
Really?
Every single one,
Every
and then
pick?
some.
All
Absolutely.
right. Save that one. Right. Because I don't know if it's everyone, but he was awesome last night. He really was. Defensively, he was incredible. But let's not bury the lead. And the lead is Jalen Brunson again reminded you that he is the guy where if you can keep the game close late, he'll make winning plays.
Yes.
And I think what jumps out at me most from last night, I'll take a loss in one game, maybe not the loss for an entire series, is that last night, the best player on the floor in crunch time was Jalen Brunson.
Yeah.
It was not Jason Tatum, who is still waiting to make his first fourth quarter field goal. He was 0 for 7 from the field. Meanwhile, Jalen Brunson was making big shot after big shot after big shot. The step-back three to put him up 6 was ice in the veins. This is what we've seen from Jalen Brunson. He was so a part of the finishing touches of that incredible run. Because remember, that 20-9 run that ended the third quarter was happening at times without Jalen Brunson. Same thing early in the fourth quarter. When Jalen finally checked in with about 8.5 minutes to go, he was the one as the leader, as the captain, as the king to kind of put the finishing touches on that run that they went on, which is insane that they pulled off. So Bridges was great. It's not the greatest performance in the history of the, I mean, Jalen Brunson's had 3 of them.
Yeah.
So he's still your king in terms of great postseason performances. But in terms of clutch defensive plays, absolutely. Mikal Bridges was unbelievable last
whether
night.
it was the steals or the blocks or just being timely when you needed to be, especially down the stretch when he took that horrific shot. I think it was 3 or so possessions to go in the game. It was terrible. It was like, don't take that shot. He takes it. And then the next defensive possession, he creates a turnover. So it's almost like he made up and then he made a shot.
Yeah.
So I don't want to say he was clutch. He's always been clutch, but I think that's what he was brought here to be. This guy who can make a difference, this player who can make a difference on both sides of the court. And it's ugly sometimes, especially offensively. But last night, you showed why you traded for Mikal Bridges. Will ultimately be worth the 5 picks? I have no idea. But I think he got another half of one back.
Yeah, we're going to analyze that a little bit later on. How many draft picks now has he earned back with his performance in his first year of Knicks postseason basketball? We'll get to that. We'll get to your phone calls. Knicks fans, do you now believe? Because yesterday, you couldn't find many Knicks fans who believed they could win this series. Do you now believe that they can pull this off? We'll get to your calls at 888-808-1019. Plus, winning a Game 1 on the road in a best-of-7 series. What does Knicks history tell us about what will happen next? We'll get into the baseball later as well, including the big question Yankee fans are asking, did Aaron Boone screw up again last night? 888-808-1019.